Good evening. It is Friday, March 14th, and this is a meeting of the Law and Ordinance Committee. It is 5:35, and on my right is Mr. Bob Phillips, committee member, and Ms. Lynn Snee on my left. Yeah, on my left.
I know we switched.
But anyway, committee member as well, and we are here to discuss two issues tonight. The first one is regarding the Auxiliary Police Department. Mr. Titterington, do you have that?
Yes, sir. The first one is a request to amend our ordinance, section 12903. There's a paragraph in there that refers to a section of the Ohio Administrative Code that has been obsolete for many years, and so we just want to correct that, get that reference out of there, and make it so that it's, again, not obsolete. So no need for emergency.
Okay. And what we're pulling out just, it prohibits the auxiliary police from carrying firearms? Is that how I read this?
It basically does, yes. I mean, that's the sum of it. And we, our auxiliary do not all, and as part of the CALIA certification process, they pointed that out to us, that there was an inconsistency.
And all we're doing is just becoming consistent with the ORC,
Right.
correct?
OAC. It's the administrative code, not the revised code. It's just a different form of ordinances or laws.
Okay. Mr. Phillips, any question?
When the chief police was not going to come in this evening to answer any questions.
Well, he wasn't available, and since it was just a housekeeping issue, if you have any other questions, though, that you'd like us to follow up on, I'd be glad to have us
Thank you.
answers get to you.
Other than the housekeeping item, no, there's nothing that I have at this point of Mr. Titterington.
No questions. It's pretty straightforward.
Mr. Tremblay?
And I have nothing.
Anybody in the audience? How say you?
Let's proceed. As
Agreed.
suggested.
Let's proceed.
Okay. The other item is to ask for authorization to enter into licensing agreements for the use of our bicentennial logo. Late last year, we commissioned, paid for somebody, a graphic designer, to create the bicentennial logo. If you look at your memo, the vertical version of that logo is in the top left-hand corner of the letterhead. What we had initially discussed or buying and selling a certain amount of items directly by the city to the end buyers. We're not really well set up for that, nor do we want to be. There are also accounting and other issues related to tracking inventory, as well as sales tax, because we would have to pay sales tax on the sales. And so in discussing this with Mr. Stickle and Mr. Livingston recommended that we license the use of the logo, similar to what the Chamber of Commerce does with the Troy, Ohio, USA behind you. They own that logo, they monitor, and they license it. And so based on a discussion with Mr. Stickle, Mrs. Knight, and Mr. Livingston, what we're recommending is that we have a licensing agreement, a very modest fee for the use of that logo. That way we can control the types of items that the logo is attached to, so that we can be sensitive to making sure that those items are appropriate and, I guess, bicentennial oriented. And there'd be a nominal fee of $25. I can waive that fee in the event that a company wants to use the bicentennial logo and they want to put it on some memento that they're going to give to their employees. They're not going to sell it, or they're not going to use it as promotional marketing materials to advance their business. Then we would have the right to waive that fee. once, as part of applying for the agreement, the business would give us an indication of what they wanted to do. Say they want to sell T-shirts, give us a mock-up of the T-shirt so we can see what it's going to look like, and so it's, again, appropriate. There would be room on the agreement that they could list the items that they think they want to sell. I'd approve it based on that. If subsequently they say, you know, I'd like to sell, or I've had customers come in and they've asked for these types of things, you know, I'd like to attach the logo to it. We would want them to come in and tell us what they're doing. We would amend that agreement, so there wouldn't be a new fee. We wouldn't have to start over, nothing like that. So it's not to get as much money out of this as possible. It's just really to control the appropriateness of the use of the logo.
Are we allowed to take money in? I mean, does it have to go into an enterprise fund or?
No, it can go to the general fund.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a review board that's going to look at all these items and say yes or no, or?
No, that would be up to me. Of course, I'd be talking to staff and to the mayor. We don't think there's going to be anything unusual. If it's something truly unusual, then we're going to do it by committee anyway, just to make sure we don't cross a line or yank something that may be unusual but could be appropriate.
Okay. And then the licensing agreement, would that have something in there to, like a hold harmless, so that the city wouldn't be liable for a bad product being sold or somebody getting sick from something?
I suppose it could. I think there's some generic language in there. Okay.
Okay.
We're getting the nod from the law director that, yes, it will be.
Okay. Mr. Phillips?
Do we have that agreement or the draft of that document, Mr. Livingston, of what you're going to be preparing? How far along with that are you? You're working on one. Will we be seeing that later?
You can get a copy. We can give you a copy of it so that you know what it says in it. Sure.
The only any item that someone wanted to put out there on an inappropriate item, would they have a right of an appeal process if they were turned down? Is there any legal issue that potentially could come from someone that was adamant that they wanted to do this logo on X thing, which, you know, we would?
Because this is it's a logo and we own a copyright on it. I mean, we filed for the copyright, we own it. It's not the same as it would be an appeal for, say, a zoning issue or any kind of state law protected process. So no, there would be no right of appeal. Okay. However, again, in the event that there's something unusual that comes up, you know, we're going to discuss it internally anyway.
But they are absolutely going to have to be submitting a list.
Right.
But we will have no generic list of suggested or.
No, we have we have a couple of items that we do not want to license. The calendars, because it's kind of a special thing, as well as we have a DVD recording that we took of the 50-year or 150-year parade, I think it was. So those are the kind of things we don't want to license, but we envision that there'll be a section in the agreement that is left with just lines that people can fill in. What we would be asking as part of that agreement is for them to give us a mock-up or some kind of an idea in picture of what they want to do.
So we wouldn't be infringing on the Historical Society or the Bicentennial Committee for any of their fundraising items, or
right.
We're going to protect them.
No, we had discussed a percentage license fee that would just, you know, flow through the vendor, the retailer. Retailers felt like that would be a little onerous for them. If somebody bought a bicentennial licensed item along with some other items that didn't fall under the licensing fee, be difficult for them to track that separately, so we decided it's not about making money off it, it's just about the control, so one fee, one set amount, and that's it.
No, I've gotten that, but what my point was, and when I point to Mr. Tremblay because of his connection with the historical societies and that sort of thing, they're going to, and putting the bicentennial bash together, I guess, with you and your committee, but things that they may be able to do to make money for those organizations. We will not be infringing, or we will not be allowing any other person or business that may buy a license to infringe on their items, so to speak. So there's no direct competition.
Well, we're not going to control, we're not going to monitor how many different vendors want to sell T-shirts, and we're not going to regulate that kind of thing. The only thing we're concerned with is if the Historical Society is going to sell something as bicentennial, and they're going to make money off of it, and they want to use our logo, the official copyrighted logo, that's where they would come and apply like anybody else.
Okay.
But if they want to sell a set of coffee mugs, and one of our retailers downtown want to sell a set of coffee mugs, I would think that coffee mugs would be appropriate, so, okay.
Okay, all right. That answered my question. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
And we are, excuse me, Mr. Chair, we are asking this to be an emergency so that we can get it out there and the vendors can start looking at what they want to do with it.
Okay.
That relates a little bit to my question. Have we had interest in this, or are we anticipating interest in this?
Oh, no, we know of a couple of retailers that already want to take advantage of this. We've sold some things already downstairs, as well as at the opening, at the kickoff over at Hobart as well.
So we know we have vendors in the area that are wanting to do this.
My only comment was things like T-shirts, hats, coats, jackets, coffee mugs. It's just not feasible to sell them downstairs in the engineer's office. So if we license them, people will be walking around Troy with hats, coats, T-shirts, and drinking coffee mugs with the logo on it. Whole idea is get the logo out there, and we don't want to restrict whether store A and B and C all want to sell T-shirts. That's fine. They can all design their own T-shirts and get them out there, and we're just making a nominal fee on that. We do have control by virtue of the fact that we can control what they put it on.
Okay. Is somebody going to police this to make sure that no one steps outside the bounds, or?
As much as we can. We're not going to be aggressive on it. I don't think anybody's going to go knock on wood, don't think anybody's going to go out of bounds. There are a couple of items that I won't put on the record that have been listed as some of the wilder things that somebody could use the logo for, but I would like to think that that would not happen.
Okay. Gentlemen, any questions, comments? Mr. Phillips?
I'm okay to proceed as staff is recommending with emergency.
Okay. Ms. Steen?
Okay with that?
And just one point of clarification. This is regulating our official logo. So, if a vendor, one of our sporting goods stores wants to create, a T-shirt that celebrates Troy's 200th birthday, and they've got something that they created themselves, there's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And, we'd encourage that, honestly. This is just the official logo.
I do have one question, if I may. So if somebody wanted to do, if a business that does buy the license, if they want to do the digitization for embroidery versus
Silk screen.
I'm sorry?
Silk screen.
Silk screening or making a logo much like goes on the back of your iPad there, those costs are all on them?
Yes,
Okay,
that's correct.
got it. Just want that for the folks viewing. Okay.
Anything else come before law and ordinance?
No, sir.
I think we're adjourned.